Hi and welcome back to my channel. I am the indie author of 3 books and I make author videos and magazine related videos here on YouTube and over on Patreon. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out my other videos. I have over 100 videos here on YouTube now. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, and I'm actually going to be doing some book reviews because I've read a lot of books lately and I need to talk about them. So I've been a bit sick the past few weeks and that explains the lack of videos over on my channel. And honestly, today I still feel a little bit off as well, but I have a little bit of time by myself, so I'm going to take that opportunity and film a video anyway. So first of all, I read a series by Tarryn Fisher, and I've been wanting to read some books by Tarryn Fisher for so long now, and I finally got round to it and I started with the Love Me with Lies series. And if you haven't read the Love Me with Lies series, it follows 3 people and it's basically a love triangle about 2 girls and 1 guy, and they're not in like a polyamorous relationship or anything like that. They're both kind of competing for one guy's love. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say this video might have some spoilers because I'm just gonna talk about basically what the book's about. I'm gonna try and not give away too many spoilers, but yeah, I'm just gonna talk about what the book's about anyway. So basically, first book, The Opportunist, follows Olivia, who is the first girl, and follows through her point of view her relationship with this guy Caleb. He's like a basketball player in college, and as you know, in America sports is really big, so it's basically a sports romance, that book at least. The other 2 books aren't. And basically she is a villain as Tarryn Fisher describes her, but well, Tarryn Fisher says that she writes about villains, and you can tell that through this series these people they're not nice people, but you do feel for them and you get connected to them because you're getting to see through their eyes, their life and their relationships. But basically she's selfish and she fights dirty for what she wants. She does a lot of horrible things to innocent people in order to get Caleb. So she had him at the beginning of the book and then she loses him, and she basically spends the whole book trying to get him back, while at the same time when she does have him, she kind of treats him like crap. But anyway, it just left me feeling like wanting more. It was a really good story. I really enjoyed it. And then going into the second book, Caleb has a new girlfriend. Oh, so at the end of the first book, you kind of see that many years have passed. And so Caleb basically, he has amnesia, and Olivia uses this as a reason to get back into his life. But he does have another girlfriend, so that leads into book 2. So in book 2, it's all through the perspective of the other girlfriend. So the first book is The Opportunist, the second book is Dirty Red, and that's about the girlfriend and through her eyes. She's also kind of a villain. She's this rich girl, her father's rich, and father dies. He leaves her in charge of his company and he does the dirty on her, and she ends up in court risking going to jail, and Caleb seeks out Olivia to be her attorney. So he's always trying to find ways to bring her back into his life, and same with Olivia trying to bring him back into her life. So it's kind of like this back and forth through the series. Anyway, the second book is through Leah's point of view, and she's also kind of a villain, and she's at the same time you feel for her because she's trying to win Caleb's love and she doesn't feel like she has all of him. She just has this part of him, but she knows that he belongs to Olivia. So that book is really good as well. There's lots of angst and like back and forth, and like you really feel for her. I cried a bit in that book because I really felt for her. Like, she, even without giving too much away, she got pregnant in order to keep Caleb, and it worked, but still she didn't have all of him, and she could tell that like he was going off to see Olivia, and like she just, it was constantly on her mind. And like, no matter how beautiful she was, successful, how sexual she was with him, none of it mattered because he belonged to Olivia. And she's married to him in this book, Leah is. So yeah, that's that book. And then the third book is The Thief, and that's through Caleb's point of view, which is really interesting. And you see like both Olivia and Leah in this book, and then he's fighting for custody of his daughter, and just, it's a whole big mess, but it's so good. Like, you definitely want to read this series. I just read it so fast, and I was in kind of a reading slump for a long time. I was finding it really hard to stick with books and just read past the first chapter or two, but this series, I read it so quickly. I think I read it in like 2 weeks, which is fast for me because I'm a very slow reader and I have like very minimal time to read. So yeah, I definitely suggest checking out that series. And then the next book I really wanted to read that was on my TBR, I have like a long list of books that I want to read, but the next book is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this book was so good. I also couldn't put this book down, and at the beginning of the book I kind of was a bit iffy because it follows the story of a journalist, and through her eyes, of Evelyn Hugo, who is a old Hollywood movie star, and I love that era of old Hollywood. So it really follows her story, and it kind of is based off Elizabeth Taylor and a few other different people. And Elizabeth Taylor did have 7 husbands and 8 marriages, so she married one of the husbands 2 times. And the book kind of follows Evelyn's story. So basically Monique, who is the journalist, Evelyn Hugo seeks her out to write her autobiography about her life, and she hasn't agreed to do it for anyone. So this is like a big shock to Monique and the magazine that Monique works for. No one knows why she seeked out Monique to write her autobiography, because Monique's kind of a not very known journalist. So anyway, this story follows Evelyn's life through all of her marriages, through her movies, through the life as an old Hollywood actress. And the story really gripped me along the way because just the lives that they led in old Hollywood times really shocked me, because if that's accurate, and I think it is because I've done some research on it after reading the book, it's just crazy. Like, you would think that they were so much more innocent back then and composed, and like everything just seemed so beautiful and perfect, but they were still doing the same things that people do today. They still were having affairs, they were still drinking and doing drugs and like just living these crazy lives with all their money and doing things to get to the top of Hollywood. And it's just crazy to me, and like it just makes me wonder if in Hollywood today it's like that. Like, people are marrying other actors in order to get ahead rather than marrying them for love, because that's what Evelyn did a lot of the time. So that's really interesting. And I was also kind of shocked to read that the reason Evelyn has so many husbands is because she is gay, and she's gay with another actress, and all the husbands were beards, and often these husbands were gay as well. And then they'd have like these couple friends, so like there'd be Evelyn and her husband and Celia and her husband, and they'd kind of be like, the husbands would be together and the girls would be together. Yeah, they'd all be like a friend group kind of thing, and in the eyes of Hollywood they'd look like this glamorous couple friend group. And all through the book you see news articles on these couples and on the actors, to see the way that Evelyn and her friends spun the media to see things their way is really interesting. There's a lot of confronting things, there's a lot of domestic violence. Well, not a lot, but there's a bit, and I think that was something that happened a lot back then as well, and was kind of not frowned upon. Like, it was frowned upon to talk about it, but it wasn't frowned upon to have that happen to you. Like, people would just be like, cover it with makeup, hide your black eye. They wouldn't like try and help you, sort of thing. So that was confronting to read, and it kind of shows you, like, despite how glamorous it was back then, how scary it would be to live in times like that. Also, there's a lot of things that made me cry in this book, because you just see friendships being torn apart, and the book is just written so well that it really makes you feel like you're in the story and you're living her life. And there's cultural diversity, there's just so many taboo things in this story. And yeah, I just highly suggest reading this story. Although I do have to say, something that kind of disappointed me is that I heard that this story is being turned into a movie, which I thought great, but one, I'm nervous that the actors aren't going to match the characters, because I've seen who they want to cast and it just doesn't match how it is in my head. But two, I was reading an autobiography, a real autobiography that I found when researching this book, that a man wrote based off Rita Hayworth, and I actually watched her in a lot of movies, and that was kind of weird too, because reading the book and how she was portrayed just does not match how she seemed in the movies. But anyway, this autobiography is pretty much identical in the storyline as The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So it's almost like Taylor Jenkins Reid copied the story, and that kind of really disappointed me, because I thought this is such a cool original story, but it's like she literally copied this other autobiography, and I'll post a picture of it here. So yeah, I just thought that was kind of weird that, like, either no one else has noticed that and they're turning it into a movie and there's going to be major copyright issues, or like you're allowed to do that. I don't know, because she says it's fiction. I don't know, but it's just weird to me. And she hasn't mentioned anything about it. She said it's loosely based off a few different people. I don't think she even mentioned Rita Hayworth, but somehow I came across that book, and when I was reading it, it's like exactly the same. So yeah, so that's those two books, that series, so plus another book, so that's 4 books. And then at the moment I'm reading The Wrong Family by Tarryn Fisher. So I won't talk too much about that yet, because I'm early on in the book. I'm a few chapters in, but from what I have read so far, it seems like it's written through the point of view of an old woman, which was kind of hard for me to connect with, but at the same time it's interesting. And then it goes back and forth between different people, and I really want to know why she's in their house. Like, so it seems like she's living in their house or in their attic, and she's not meant to be there, but then at the same time she's like hanging out with their son and stuff like that. So I don't know, it's just really weird. Like, I can't tell yet if she's meant to be living there or if she's living there in secret, so that intrigues me. So I'm reading that at the moment, so I might do a video on that, or a video on a few more books if I've read that, and a few others after that. But yeah, that's all for this video today. So thank you for watching. Please don't forget to thumbs up if you like this video and want me to do more of them. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. The link to my Patreon is down below, and all my other social media things and everything like that. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you on my next one.